You know, life moves so fast these days, and between work, raising our boys, and everything else, we just don't get the time to really do this. And I don't know. I feel that one of my favorite things to do in life right now is just talk to you because we have so much to talk about, and then we have so much to look into who we can be to our kids, to our family, and sometimes I'm just noticing that it's not about the big things that matter anymore. It's about those small little things. You said something earlier this morning that I couldn't put together. But you basically said the small things matter most. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it'll come to me.
But I just feel like this moment is so special just because it's just you and me, and it's us having a real conversation. It's more than an episode. It's something that we'll be able to look back at one day with our boys and just show them. I mean, this is who your mom and your dad were, and this is who they were trying to be, and now this is who we are. And sometimes people are lucky. People think that they had the easy route, and I think most people don't understand that there was a lot of sacrifices being made, and a big sacrifice for you and for us, but for you was these last 3 4 years when you decided to stay home. And I want this episode to focus mainly on who you are today, not who you were, not who you wanted to be, but the choices that you made that define who you are today. So, welcome to the Chosen Podcast.
I see what you did there at the end. I'm excited to do this and to be here in my own home, but excited to do this with you. This has been, something that we've talked about, something that you wanted, something you've pushed for, prioritized, and it's true. We don't get to have long thought out conversations as much as we may want, and we do. We talk every day, and sometimes they're deep conversations and sometimes they're not because of our lifestyle today, and it is tough. It's a challenge every day, but more than anything, I'm excited that I'm supporting you in something that you want to do, and that although it's something you want to do, we're able to do it together.
But when did you think that that support became a little bit more about you? I mean, I feel that for the last 10 years since you've met me, you've been super supportive of my career and of the goals that I want in life. And there was a moment there that when you opened up on my lash, that it was all about your business. I tried to dive in, but I kind of let you do your own thing there. When how hard has it been for you to transition into just being a stay-at-home mom?
I mean, this last year of having to not just transition, I was already a mom, but three
How
kids.
long ago were you a mom? I
Three
mean,
kids is a lot. It's like they say, like, one kid is like so cute and great, and then two kids is like, okay, you're balancing, and then three kids is like 15 kids. So it was challenging. But I think I made the best decision for us as a family and for me as a mother to prioritize that. But of course, that wouldn't have been possible without you, being the main provider and accepting that you are going to transition into being the main provider. So, I mean, it's come with a lot of challenges. I wouldn't just be able to say one, but it's come with a lot of greatness, a lot of blessings, a lot of time that I got to also get to re-know myself because I dug in so hard in my business for such a long time that I was a mom and I was juggling that, but that's all I knew was just to be a working mom. And I love that. Like, so, it's come with a lot of challenges, but essentially it's having you also as a spouse that was like, you're not just not doing anything, like you're raising the kids and you're, managing like our home life, and a lot of people don't have that support.
no, I think a lot of the problems with our generation right now is that we had a lot of working moms, I mean, our whole generation,
And that's a beautiful thing.
it is a beautiful thing, but I feel that kids do need their mother at home. I mean, kids do need to have that relationship with their mother. I think it's huge. And
I think for a mother, it's huge to it's very easy for people to say, oh, like you're a mom, that's an important role, that's the most important role, but then do people really support that? And so they don't. Nowadays it's very undermined. Like being a mom isn't enough. You have to work, you have to have your life together, you have to be fit, you have to look good, you have to keep your husband happy. And it's not fair, but us at this age, like that's all we pretty much know. Like it's not like our parents that like, or our grandparents are like, they're a mom, they're just home taking
no,
care of the kids.
and think about it. How many of us stayed with our grandparents growing up?
Right.
I mean, being raised by our
And
grandparents.
don't get me wrong, I would look at it as a stay-at-home mom. Like I don't want to be put in that box. Like I don't want to just be a stay-at-home mom, just be a
Categorized.
wife.
Yeah.
And you undermine it. Like it's not just a mom and it's not just a wife. Like you're not less of a person. And I think this is maybe culturally, but I never wanted to be labeled as like just this wife or mother that all they do is serve their husband or serve their kids. I think this last year has shown me it's so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have to almost humble yourself and not like tune out the voices, to not let that get to you.
I think by serving yourself, you need to understand, and I don't want to sound corny, but you need to understand that by serving yourself, you serve God. And I think as a couple, as a relationship, if we can both do that as serving God, and if we can have our family to serve God, that's the ultimate goal in life. I feel that once you serve Him, you will have more answers. A lot of those questions and unworriness, and I feel that your faith, your whole system on faith, these last 3 years. I mean, if you really want to call one of your biggest accomplishments, has been finding your
This last
faith.
year. But 3 years, yeah,
I
because
think
of
three
what we
years
went through. But
because
that's
of what we went
another,
through.
yeah.
No, I think we can speak about it. I mean, those are certain things that I don't think we speak about enough, and I think most people don't know that part of us. But we did go through a lot of challenges in life, and um, our miscarriage was something that was special for me and you, especially as that it was my first child, and we had a lot of changes going on in our life at that moment in time. COVID,
Yeah.
me being furloughed, that's a big part that not many people know.
Yeah.
I mean, I get goosebumps just even saying it out loud, but it's the truth. The fact that I got fired, or however you want to call it, is something that it's one of my biggest accomplishments in life, because I was able to show my true value again. And just like all these changes that happened in the past 2 years, it's me just putting my head towards faith and literally walking with God. And and those are things that if I didn't have your support, I wouldn't have been able to go through. And those are the type of conversations that I want to have, because that's life. Those are things that no one knows about me. So when that happened during COVID, I was in a dark place, you know that. But it was also, in my opinion, the best part of my life. I spent 2 weeks at home with you guys, and I remember grilling almost every day, being in the pool. I feel that me and Dominic, and I have always told you that. Not that me and Dominic had a rough relationship prior to that, but I do feel that the 2 weeks that I stayed home, or 3 weeks that I stayed home, we grew a lot, and I was able to spend so much time with him.
Yeah.
We didn't leave the house, obviously, because of COVID. We went in the pool almost every single day. We played a lot of Call of Duty together and stuff like that. But it was definitely a growth spurt for me and him. And
I think you got a lot of that quality time that you didn't, you didn't have, because it was a lot of years and at Honda and the promotions, and I was just in that time opening Oh My Lash, and so we were parents and you were obviously helping every step of the way, but that quality time of like life slowed down and you focus in on what you have actually around you. I mean, that's why so many relationships failed too at that time, when you
it's
think
so
about
true.
it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's like we just heard, like what we just heard in church, when you hit rock bottom, like, it's God wanting you to hit rock bottom because he wants you to know he is the rock, and it's up from there. And we've had so many challenges. I think we've had so many challenges, like anyone, in their lives. Like, our lives haven't been perfect. But for me, like you mentioned, my faith, and this last year, out of all the other things that I've gone through this last year, it has affected me differently. And I've let it pour into my life differently because I didn't have anything else to kind of distract me. I didn't have work to dive into to distract me. I didn't have any of that. I had my own thoughts every day I was home with the kids, or every day I didn't feel enough, or every day. And so I think that was a really big part of, like, my faith, really pouring into I would say pouring into my life, our life, because I've always had faith, and I feel like I've always had my understanding of my relationship with God. But what I also wanted to work on this year, and kept hearing and kept feeling like I do need it in order for it to pour into all aspects of my life. Like, I need to not be so private with my
relationship.
Yeah. And so that's why I feel like I feel the effect so much this last year that I've been home after Luca. So, back to like 2020 and all of that, it was a lot of things. And we just had like big events after big events with, if it was, we got engaged, my grandmother passing, then our wedding happened, then COVID. So it was like happy event, dark event, happy event, dark event. And I mean, and all the darkness and or the things that, life doesn't go perfectly, but I think we really learned to kind of work together through those things, and it's kind of like grown with us.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the word work together. I think we were there for each other, and
Right.
we supported each other. I think people use that word work together differently because people get that confused with like an employee mindset or colleagues and stuff like that. And in a relationship, I don't think that word is work. I think it's much more bigger than just work. I think we loved each other, and when you love each other, you don't see it as work. When you love something, you don't see it
No,
as work.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I think what we've been through and where we can go one day is, it's definitely gonna make us who we are. And you've been my partner, my best friend, and my greatest supporter. I'm just grateful that we get to even do this together. Um, I want to elaborate a little bit more on the challenges that you feel that you faced, and through our partnership, who do you think you are today compared to who you were, not necessarily in other relationships, but compared to who you were when I met you? Who do you think you are today?
I'm a more confident person because of our marriage, our relationship, because of you, how you are with me, how you care for me. Confidence goes a long way. Confidence, people get mistaken. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm like cocky or like feel good about myself, like physically. Like, no, like the way you have shown me love has made me a confident woman, like in all aspects, and of just life, period. Like, and I think a lot of people don't get that, and they lack in themselves, because no matter what, you do care what your partner thinks, and you do kind of soak in how your partner loves you, how they treat you. It's like kids, if they're not being loved on, like, they're angry, they're they lack confidence, they lack self-esteem, like. And so, I mean, I'm a way more confident person. Like, I wanted to start a business, you pushed me to do that. I wouldn't have had that,
Self belief.
yeah, and the courage. And so, I mean, that is the word that first comes to mind, because confidence in your life does go a long way. You don't want someone, you've never been the partner to like put me down on my ideas or put me down on my beliefs. And obviously we disagree at life sometimes a lot, but I think that's the first word that comes to mind out of, who I have transformed into and stuff.
I
That's not easy to get,
I think part of disagreeing is part of being honest. Um,
for sure.
and that's one thing that me and you are to each other,
For
even when it's
sure.
ugly and even when it's pretty. But we're not afraid to be honest with each other, and I'm not afraid to put you in your place, and you're not afraid to put me in mine. And again, that comes with supporting.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to personal growth and individual fulfillment, one of the things I love about you most is how you've always found a way to keep growing. And even when you decide to stay at home, you didn't stop learning. You dreamed, even pushed yourself, from trading stocks to just being an incredible mom and wife. I want to elaborate more on that because a lot of people don't know that side of you. And trading isn't easy. As you know, you've seen me. I mean, I obviously more long term than anything because I have a full career. But I'm just so proud of the person that you have become in that aspect, in that industry, because that takes, first of all, a lot of risk and courage, but it also takes a lot of patience. You have to study a lot and you have to know what you're doing with the amount of money that you're trading with. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, thanks to you. I mean, what do you want me to say about it? That it goes into a lot of different
Tell me the
like
ugly part first.
pools.
The part that no one speaks about on social media. Not how much.
I'm no
I
expert,
know, I know.
but I used it. It gave me a purpose this last year, especially. It I was just talking about this with my hairdresser yesterday actually, and it gave me a purpose. Like I'm not well, let's trickle into the fact of like so I just picked like I don't even know how I ended up deciding to learn. It just kind of fell into that when I was pregnant with Renee 2.5 years ago.
I mean, I've always shown
Had on
you.
my lash. I was not thinking of stopping.
I don't know why though, because it's true. I've always shown you since we met.
Yeah, and I've
I've always had a
always had an
portfolio and stuff
open
like that.
ear to it. I
Yeah.
was never really drawn like, oh, this is so interesting. Like,
I don't think you
let me
understood it at that time
learn.
either though.
No, especially not when you started. Like when we first started dating,
Yeah.
I didn't even know anything. Like it was like, okay, yeah, but people thought it was a big deal if you say that to other people. But so when you think about it, it's like, how did that happen for me to learn? And it's crazy because if you really want to sit there, you can put faith into every little thing in your life. Because now you're like, wow, I could really use that. Wow, it really gave me a purpose last year. When you need something to kind of, but so yeah, it's been like 2.5 years. You had always talked to me about it. So I knew little things, I knew like I didn't know how to read a graph. I didn't know how to read anything. I didn't know how to read like a stock if you gave it, but little things you would normally talk to me about, like on your days, like I started learning that, understanding more of how like the markets moved, and it just kind of like grew. And then I don't know, I don't remember the deciding factor of like, okay, let's sit down and like show me this.
I think I was off, or we were on vacation, and I just started showing you charts, and you were interested. And I think I showed you kind of how much money you could make on certain moves if the market moved in a certain way. And I think once you started working in your own business, and you were paying yourself, because when you run your own business, it's based on what you produce. There's no one there. There's no backbone. It's just literally what you produce. So I think you started noticing the value that you saw there and the value that you could make at home, or taking your kids to school, or being out, or just being on a computer at home. I think you noticed that value, and you said, you know what? I mean, this is a no-brainer. If I can make a certain amount of money a day, that's what I was making lashing, having to rent. But I don't know. I do think there is a side of you that's very money hungry. And
Yeah, absolutely.
you have shown me that, and it's something that I love, because obviously I'm money hungry too for different reasons.
Right.
Obviously,
And
you
people,
know that we're not money hungry for materialistic things,
right.
or to go ahead and start buying a whole bunch of cars and stuff like that, even though we've had our fun.
You don't think you could teach someone how to just want to hustle, want to like grind for what you want,
That's what I
like
love.
work your ass off. And, you know, like, yeah, okay, we all sometimes are like, damn, like, can I just get to that finish line quicker? But some people don't know what it is to struggle. And I think that's the root of it.
I
You
was
have to
he-
be okay with struggling.
I was hearing a podcast yesterday on my way to work, and it was with Tony Robbins actually, and flat out said it. It's amazing how those that struggle are the ones that become the biggest success, and those that come from broken families, those that come from struggling families, and it's because they know how to fail and they know what it feels to fail. And there are
Yeah.
certain people that are the brightest out there, very smart. They went to Ivy League schools. These people, they know when it comes to business, they know how to read statements better than anyone else. But when they get hit, they don't know how to get back up.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. When you get hit, if you know how to get back up, because you've been hit before, you're gonna get back up. To you, that's just another rock in the way,
Yeah.
and it's another stepping stone. But you, as in a business, it taught you to get hit, because when you're in your business again, there's no one there to lift you up. You have to get back up on your own. When you're an employee in a business, there's people that are gonna lift you up. People that are gonna do your job when you don't go in. People that are gonna be there when you're not there, and it's not the same. So I think part of trading, it's so interesting that trading is you by yourself. There's no one there to help you out. There's no one telling you to buy this, to sell here, or what you should buy. It's literally you and a computer screen or you and a phone. So you're very independent. You start learning more about yourself. I'll never forget that when I started trading, I learned how greedy I was.
You have to elaborate, like, or just be specific. When you started trading daily, because I had never seen that side of you. Like, I did certain days before you were dating, you were trading daily trading,
Yeah, no, for sure. There were some times there that
because that's when the real emotions kick in.
100%, and just managing those emotions. And then when you start making business decisions in any business, you start learning that that's the biggest talent, is managing emotions. Because the day that you learn how to manage emotions, you start learning how to manage people. And I've always told you that. And
Yeah.
that's a huge gift. The day that you start learning how to manage people, you start learning how to manage their emotions. And it's a triple down effect. Then they start learning how to manage clients. And at one moment, you start managing a business, because a business is nothing without its people. So the minute that you start managing your emotions, then you can start managing people. But that's why there's so many people that I see at work, or so many people in life that want to become promoted, or they want to become a manager. And it's like, manage your own life first. Where's your discipline? Where's your commitment to yourself? How are you going to show me a commitment to a career change, or to a new business, or to a new position, if you haven't been able to put in
Right.
that work for yourself? Um, and those are little things that, now raising our boys, we sometimes don't think they matter, but doing your bed in the morning when you wake up does matter. Your presentation does matter. And it's not necessarily because of how you feel, but it's about how you're going to be in the real world.
I think even more importantly, it's like when you have a bad day, like Dominic, like, are you gonna let it? And you taught us a lot of this because you are naturally a very optimistic person, but like, are you gonna let it eat up at your whole day? So that's really managing your emotions, not being able to snap yourself out of it. Like, sometimes I am not able to, because you let that anger just like eat you up, and it starts eating up at the rest of your day. You say, you're rude to this person, and so I think trading stocks like has really shown, you know
I don't know. I
deeper.
feel that trading is just another part of tool that you should learn in life whenever you run a business, because again, you've seen what you can make with the amount of money that you're trading. Imagine if you put that towards a business.
Even if you don't have a business, I think it's a great skill
Yeah.
to know. It's almost like how I feel about like lashing and like esthetician life. Like, it is a trade that you can learn. You can always make money from it. It's a skill. Like, I think everybody should know, you know, at least the basics of the market, and not just because the making money aspect, but to know what's kind of going on in the real world,
Yeah, I know.
and that's something you like really made me kind of pay more attention to. But yeah, I mean, I think it was the best thing that I subconsciously learned, like wanted to, because I didn't know in the time that I really wanted to learn that. I just kind of like went with it, and I was open to learning from you and opening, that door. Little did I know that 2 years down the road, I was going to need it, not financially, but more for me.
For your
Like,
purpose.
yeah.
So And that's something that took me a long time to understand, because I used to think you were like being super selfish when I used to get home, and the day you had was so tough, and the day I had at work, it was even more tough when it came to dealing with people or the changes that were happening, or just regular life. And when I used to come home to the way that you were, and you frustrated, and you were just super down, you were devastated
This
because,
last year when I was home,
yeah, or even
or
before, even probably right after we had Luca. But it was tough because you were
I
raising these
was
three
home.
boys
Yeah.
alone and you were home. And not only that, I think the transition, I think the change is really what was hitting you. I think you didn't fully accept the fact that you might be home for another year, or you might be home for another 2 years. Then you started to sink in and start comparing yourself to other people that you know, and started saying, "Oh, is this who I'm going to be in life? Is this what I am right now? Is this?" And sometimes in life, I think sometimes we're so worried, and you taught me this. We're so worried about the future that we forget to live in the present. You don't understand the type of woman you're becoming, and the type of woman that you already are in my eyes, first of all, and then to our kids' eyes, the type of mother that you are. So we get so confused about wanting to be someone in life when you don't notice that you are who you are already,
Yeah.
and you don't notice that it's for a reason. It's because God wants you to be that person at that moment in time. Until you embrace that, I don't feel like you're not ever really able to move on from that. You're not able to really change until you actually accept who you are. So, how did that feel? Because those are things that, as much as we talk about it, I can't relate to it because I'm not you. So, how did it feel for me to constantly be talking about work coming home? How did it feel for
Yeah,
me?
it sucked. It did, because it's a natural thing. Like, you've never made me feel this way, and I've always supported you. Like, if it was my own success, I tried to at the best I could, but it did suck because I was just like, I've always had this mindset of accomplishments and stuff, but being so dug into my own business and having those dreams, and even after I had Renee, I still like got back in it, and I was pushing, and like I had no reason to close my doors other than, you know, me choosing to do that. If it was the right thing I thought it was going to be. But
And that's part of the sacrifice that I think people don't understand.
well,
Because
I
the easy
mean,
thing for
you
you to
saw
do,
me at my lowest in this last year, but, and it sounds dramatic, but I was almost, when I think back, like, what's the word? What's the word? Like, I was almost grieving. Like, I closed the doors to what it was, like my baby. Like, I poured everything
I
into
know,
that.
I know.
And don't get me wrong, like, I still have a sense of peace because I did pray for that before I made the decision. And I would just ask for peace, like, in whatever I decide, please just bring me peace. And, you know,
It brought you
I
peace with
feel
an
like
attitude.
I did get that sense of my decision, which was closing the doors. That brought me peace. Like, I was able to make that decision and feel peace in my heart, knowing I made the right decision. But it's still tough. I mean, it's not going to bring you just like pure joy. Like, no, now you have to work through that. And it was hard because I was working through that. I was working through being now a mother of three. After learning a new schedule and everything with Renee, I had to relearn my new schedule and stuff with another baby. And so, I was working through a lot of different things, like, and I wanted to then have that like perfect head on my shoulders for you.
I know, but
And
I think I took advantage of that a little bit, and that's where I think I was a little selfish, because the easy thing for me to do as a husband and as a father was just to say, "Listen, stay home with the kids. This is your job now." And it's not, and I don't think the way I went about it was absolutely right, because I was so pushy and so quick for you to be like, "Let's just close your business and let's just stay home.
well,
This is what matters
no.
most right now."
At the beginning, I don't think that was when you were pushy. I think it was like 6 months into it when I was like, okay, like, we're almost a year. Okay, like, well, we're 6 months, let's just say. But I don't think at the beginning you were so pushy. I mean, things just aligned, like, if we want to get down to the details, like, my lease was coming up, and I had my second employee, and that just didn't work out. I didn't have like a good feeling leaving my business essentially for a couple months so that I could enjoy like I did with Renee. Like, things were just not adding up and more making sense to like this being the right decision. And if I decide to come back after Luca was, however old, that we could do that. I mean, we could just go back and open, rent another location. Like my lease was already coming up. So, you know, that, and I did maybe make you feel like, because I told you I would have loved to sell the business. But if you would have asked me 6 months, 3 months prior, I would have never thought I would have stopped working because I had my own business. I mean, if I was an office job, yeah, okay, I could just go find another one. But like this, like something I just poured everything into, like to start. And I did that for my kids when I just had one. Now I have three. Like this is ideal. Like people like died to be in this situation, so established already. Like it was after, a couple months in when I was like itching to go back and like thinking I was ready. And that's when I feel like obviously, I know you were trying to be supportive of me being home, but I feel like that's when you really pushed, like, this is what you should be doing. And like, the kids need you. And, you know, like, you want to put the kids in like daycare already. And,
But I remember you also telling me, like, what do I need?
well,
Like,
right.
how, like, and that's where I feel that as a husband, I could have done better. And obviously, I think I've worked on that. And I feel that I have. But I feel that at that moment in time, our communication mattered the most. How
Yeah.
we said things, because I remember we going at it, and I remember we were we would speak, and it just wouldn't matter what we said. It would you would turn it you would turn it to something that it wasn't, or take it the way that it wasn't meant to be said or taken. And same thing with me. I
I
mean,
just felt like in that time I was just the person I always wanted to be, right? Like have my own business and I'm a mom and like I'm married and it seemed so perfect to how I wanted it, and then boom, like I I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like what? And again, I mean, it sounds very, it's belittling because now I know everything it takes. I know the sacrifices it takes. I know the patience it takes. I know everything that comes with, and it is not like it should be. It's such a cherished job. It's such a cherished thing that you should say proudly, like, I'm a stay at home mom, you know? But to me, that's never what I wanted to be. And I wouldn't say I was forced into it, but obviously we had Luca a little
life,
earlier
yeah.
than we wanted to. And yeah, life, and that's okay. Like, but again, like I was kind of just like pushed into it. And obviously, yeah, I could have decided to keep my business and been like, we're going to grind this out. And like the kids can be with your mom or my mom and we'll like figure it out. Everybody puts their kids in daycare. But I didn't. And some people might say that I chose the easy way out and just like went to stay home with the kids. But honestly, I think I chose the harder route. And it was to prioritize my family. And I saw it also as me being there to be your support so that you could excel more than ever in your position, not just because you were the main provider, but because that's what you also needed. I feel like that too. Like you have been put through the ringer this last year too. And that was another challenge we had. Like we were both like personally, like as two separate people, we were going
Going through a
through
lot of challenges, yeah.
our own challenges. And so, yeah, our communication did matter. And like we weren't perfect all the time, but like, it's again like the conversation I had with my hairdresser yesterday. Like communication is so important because like married people don't have it all together, and as individuals you're going to go through problems, as like your family together you're going to go through problems. But like if you as individuals want to prioritize that conversation, that communication aspect, and really figure out like what is he trying to tell me, and open to like receiving, you can get through,
Through each other. I think being
through
compassionate,
anything.
yeah, I think being compassionate and compromising has a lot to do with it. You have to try your best, even though you can't, but you have to try your best to put yourself in that person's shoes.
Yeah. And I think that's been really hard for us this year, was really hard. But yeah, I mean, staying home hasn't been easy, but again, going to stocks, like in this last year when I was trading and then when I took a couple months off or whatever, you kind of are like, what's missing? Why am I so like moody, or what got me down, or what? And I kind of realized yesterday, like it did give me a little purpose again. Like it did make me be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm making money again. Like, and I'm doing it from home.
You're providing again. I think that is what
Yeah.
really mattered. You had a purpose. So really, a marriage is not about finding someone to complete you, but building something beautiful together. And I think a strong partnership isn't about never facing challenges. It's about growing through them. I think that's what makes us tough. That's what makes us one. That's really what unites us. And I think this last couple of years, we've gone through a few challenges, and it's what's made us stronger. Um, I mean, I don't have that many friends, and obviously I know that unfortunately you don't have nowhere nearly as many friends as you had
You're my only friend.
for the most part. But true
For
love,
real.
true love, okay. There's that fairy tale of true love, and especially as a woman, or as a little girl and stuff like that. What does true love really mean to you now? Because people, and I just want to clarify that people think true love is something of like a Cinderella story and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But my dad was always big on telling me that love don't that word love doesn't exist. There's actions, there's sacrifices that people make. That's what shows you what love is. And no one wants to talk about that in a relationship, but part of loving someone is giving a lot of yourself up. I feel that's a huge one. Part of loving someone is giving a lot of who you are up to become someone who you want to be, or maybe even
But it only works if
to
that
become
other person is willing to do the same.
but that's what I'm saying. It's to become a couple, an actual relationship, to become one with someone. You have to be able to give up something of who you are.
Look, I think, and I can only, I'm going to keep referring to this last year because it's the most recent, but I think this last year, and when you're juggling 3 kids, that's life, like you're really experiencing life. But this last year has shown me our love, because when one of us were not able to show up, the other did not put the other down. We showed up the 100. And I think a lot of people don't either work like that or know that, but I think the best thing that we do is that. Like, I don't knock you when you're down, and if you can't show up, okay, so everybody's always like, oh, relationship is 50-50.
I hate that.
It sounds good, right? And you're like, yeah, why aren't you 50-50? Like, but sometimes I wasn't able to give you my 50. I couldn't even give you 20. I couldn't definitely not give you 100 of me. I was battling whatever that day, mentally, physically, whatever. That other person, like you needed to be that 100 for us. And I think that's what we've learned to do the most. And that is love. Like, on top of the other things, like it has to be unconditional. Like, you can't love someone, but, like it has to be unconditional. You're both not perfect. You already know that. So if you love this person, there's no questioning it at the end of the day. Like, but his actions didn't show me today, or but
That reminds me of Dominic.
you're not going to love someone anymore because of that. Now, don't get me wrong, like the other things that are obvious, like, yeah, like betrayals and stuff. But
you can still choose to forgive. You get me? And some people don't even, and people don't understand
forgive
that.
what? I mean, that would get us into a different
No,
conversation,
but
because
I think when you choose
no.
to forgive, it's not something that you're doing for the other person. It's something that you're doing for you.
Well, yeah, and forgive the little things,
And I'm not
yes.
saying to
But
forget,
it's
or I'm not
not
saying to be taken advantage of, or I'm not saying to be disrespected. I'm not even
right.
saying to go back to where you were, because usually when things happen, you don't ever go back to how it was. Okay, it's not. That's why sometimes when there's affairs, or when there's trust that is taken
But
advantage of,
that's why I
I'm
say
saying to forgive for yourself.
it only works if that other person is willing to do it back.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
a
that's part of a relationship, though.
well, right, but sometimes people are with the wrong person, let's say, and you're like, but we love each other, or but I love this person so much. Why am I getting hurt? Why am I Well, that person isn't doing that back. So you guys have to both be willing, or we are. I'm not, we're not in couples therapy. Like, I'm not trying to tell people how to but I just feel like what we've done is just be able to fill each other's cups on days that the other can't. And like, I think that's what you should be doing. Like, that is love. You have to pull the both weight sometimes
You have to show up every
mentally.
day.
So a lot of people aren't willing to do that. It's like, oh, you're not willing to, oh, it's gone on longer than a day. Oh, you're still upset. Oh, you're still, and the petty things, like, obviously, no and stuff. But I mean, what we've gone through, like, it's like real life stuff. Like, and yeah, how could you have expected me to not have been this, like, different person almost this last year with everything? Like, no, you have to, and same for you, like, everything through your career, everything your job has put you through this last 2 years with them, with the kids, then being like, okay, you're sole provider now. I can't expect you to be the same person, like, mentally every day. You're gonna have your days, and I have to be willing to love you enough to not knock you for that. You get me?
Of course.
So, I mean, that's love to me.
How do you feel when people have told you you've changed?
Yeah, I have. I mean, if I was the same person I was when I was 19, 20, 21, that would be a problem. I think I'm the same person, but, things change. Your outlook on life changes. Kids change you mentally, and your experiences change you, and you keep growing from them. So,
I think this past 2 years, my kids have really taught me how to value time. Um, I think most people don't really understand the value of time, and I think you, as my wife, as my partner, as my best friend, you've done a good job reminding me how important it is to just be present. I've always had a problem with just learning how to be there at that time, not physically. I think I show up for almost everything for the most part, but I'm saying actually being present, though, mentally.
right.
How is it that, or let me rephrase this, where is it that you would want to be in these next 5 years with your time? What are the things that you want to focus on or prioritize?
I mean, we've talked about this. Like, I definitely want to, I have noticed, and some people might, it might sound wrong, but it's like, I have noticed that it's not that I miss, let's say, being an esthetician, having my business. Like, I miss making money. Don't get me
Sure.
wrong. I miss what that business came with, which was building relationships, meeting like wonderful people, and building relationships with those wonderful people, and having that like chat time, throughout the day and stuff, and what that comes with. But if I, go back to doing anything, like, I want to make money. Like, I love this opportunity that I have had, being solely like focusing on the kids and being home. But if I can find something that can adapt with that, then yeah, I want to blend it together. But in 5 years, like, the kids are going to be old enough, they're going to be in school. And so this is, the next stage, I would say, like, that people sometimes don't think of, right? They just lose themselves entirely when they're stay at home. And then boom, 5 years come up before you know it. And you're like, I haven't even thought about what I want to do, what I want to be.
Or
Who am I now?
or you forgot yourself, who you are, and that
And
is so
so,
tough. I mean, and I'm not just saying mentally, but I'm saying physically too, especially as a mother. It's very hard to stay active. It's very hard to care. I mean, that's just the reality of things. And who was it that I was speaking to? I was speaking to Eric about it, but I feel like in the last 10 years, I focused so much more on my career, on how much I'm growing, the next promotion, my next position that I want. You forget about your physicality. You forget about taking care of your health. You forget about
Yeah.
working out, how important those things are for every aspect of life, but really mentally too. The
Yeah.
therapy, the therapeutic aspect behind it is huge. Um, I love the fact that we work out together. I love the fact that for example, this Sunday, these last few Sundays have meant so much to me, and I
I
think a lot of,
know.
huh? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. They've
I
been the
think
best.
I
They
think
have.
these Sundays have meant a lot to me because, and it starts with going to church. That's again not trying to be corny and stuff like that, but it's that start of being there with our kids, um, screaming and crying and stuff. But it's starting with that, then coming back home, enjoying our home, enjoying what we've built together, seeing them enjoy each other, uh, and then working out together, just working on each other, on how we can grow individually. It's like the
Yeah.
podcast that we heard the other day of the entrepreneur is saying that his wife, I don't know exactly what he said, but his wife is all about his business. And he told him when they got married, if I care more about I care more about my business more than I care about you,
I know
or
who you're
something
talking
like that. I
about.
don't know. I
Please
don't
don't
know.
say it.
Yeah, I don't know how he said it, but and I first told you, I was like, that's so
It's
selfish
too
though. It's
much.
too much. But then you even told me, no, but I understand him though, because she cares so much about his business and then he cares so much about her business that at the end of the day, it's the end goal that matters. I'm
It's being on the same page that matters. If they're on the same page about that, more power to them. I don't I don't know, but I don't think I could be with you if you were to literally tell me, "Look, my career matters the most out of all this little family and you and my career matters the
But the
most."
way he said it wasn't that they tell each other that. It's that they don't need to. And I feel that you have been like that with me. You've never said, "Oh, why are you staying so late?" or "But why are you still there?" Maybe these last couple of years because we've had kids and because you know what I truly want is to be present at home or to be here for dinner or to be at Dominic's basketball practice, whatever the case is. But for the most part, you have always supported me. You've known. I told you from when we first started dating. I mean, it's bad now, but it's gonna get worse most likely as I grow in the company
I
or
mean,
as
it
I grow in
definitely
life.
helped that, like, I was in that grind period too, and I, like, it's like you say, like, you respect the hustle, like, you did have to put in a lot of hours, and, like, we had just like, we were moving in together, you got promoted, and it was just, like, and that was great, like, I was also working late and trying to build the business, and when I didn't have Dominic, like, I was working, getting home, just before you or whatever it was. But like, I feel like if you would have had a different partner, like they wouldn't have respected that and that time for you. And that does hold you back because it's like you look back and then and but that is when you grew the most. So imagine having someone that was like holding you back in that time. It's like, no, like I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
work. But it also comes like as a partner now, it's like, especially the world that you're working in, the trust. If I didn't have the trust I did in you, I wouldn't have been as supportive because why are you staying till you're closing at 12 o'clock? Like, what? Like, that was hard, Like, and so if we didn't have that established trust, like, yeah, it would have been even harder. But no, I mean, all I did was want to support your dreams. I had my own dreams and I was chasing that. And like, I think that helped, because at the end of the day, we were both just very supportive, especially in that time. We had the time to do that and like focus on just us.
What are the small moments in life that remind you of what truly matters? I mean, we've had so many memories that we've cherished together, but what are those small moments that leave the biggest impact
In what way? Like, what do
in
you really
life?
mean?
In life, small moments. For example, I'll give you one of mine. Okay, the ice bath with Dominic the other day. The
Okay.
fact that such a small moment like that, but can change your whole entire week. I mean, it can change the way that maybe leading up to that day, how you felt because you were mad because of his grades or because of the attitude that he's been giving us, or but it can just change and just bring you back to saying, you know what, this is who my kid is. This is who he is. But it's our job to bring him out, to bring this side of him out of him. It's our job to bring this Dominic out. And I feel that we spoke about it after briefly, but what are some of those small moments in life?
I mean, I think it's a little different for me because I am with them a lot. And so the tension and the stress is all day and running to location. But I think at the end of the night, since you mentioned Dominic, like I'm laying with him and he's at his most like vulnerable and I get that side of him, I think that just like grounds me more than ever.
It does.
And really just, you know, it makes you appreciate the hard day.
Yeah.
And it just, like you said, like it shows you like, okay, this is my kid, not like the tantrum and the brattiness or the complaining that he doesn't want to make it to practice or like those little things. Or, like the other day actually, um him bringing up the fact that like he wants to see if I approve about him having a girlfriend already, right? And it's like, wow, like I maybe we are doing something right. Like he's really genuinely like was looking for like, wait, you do approve then? So you approve? Like that made me feel good.
Just made me feel like we're doing something right. I think communication is so big, and I've always told you that my father spoke to me a lot. Maybe too much sometimes, but my father speaks to me a lot still, thank God. And it's part of that backbone that I have. It's part of when I know that I'm doing something wrong, I shouldn't be doing it, so I should stop. Or it's part of me knowing that this is the right path to take. I shouldn't be going where everyone else is going. Let me walk the lonely path that's harder, that's further, but it's the path that matters most. So communication is huge, and I feel that you can only do communicating when you're present, when you're there. I think you going back to work, and it's gonna happen because we should want that to happen, like we've spoken in the past. Do you feel that that communication is ever gonna not be as strong as it is now?
I think it's definitely going to have its days. Like it's not going to be perfect. I'm going to be adding another thing to my plate and I'm going to have to prioritize that for a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to change. But no, I don't think it's going to change. Like I think we really have implemented and we really work at communicating. If that's me and you, if that's me showing my 2-year-old, if that's like us trying to talk to, Dominic and teaching him how to like really open up. And so, no, I don't think so. I think we implement it way too much for us to like be okay with just getting rid of that and be so easy to stop doing that. No.
So, what does it mean truly to value our time? Not just with each other, but for ourselves right now. I mean, I think there is a part of us that people need to hear that we need to be selfish about our workout time. For example, I've been trying to wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning just to work out. That's me being selfish for the right reasons, but it's not me going to a bar with my friends to watch a football game. But it's me finding that time for me alone to be able to do what matters to me. And I feel that it's also to be able to provide the man and the father that I want to be to my family. So how challenging is it? Because people might not think you have a lot to do, but you have a lot to do, especially while you're home. So how challenging is it to be able to value your own time right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, you have to prioritize yourself. You have to prioritize your day. And it's like I always try to tell you, like, it comes with being punctual. Being punctual, people just think, like, oh, getting to a place on time. No, like, that comes with time management. For you to just think, like, everybody makes fun of me because it's 12 o'clock and I'm already like, it's 12:30, like, but I'm always thinking on that time frame. And again, being like that esthetician side of me that was just appointment based and having to be punctual has really like driven into me. But it is that like I time my day out and I know that if I don't do a certain task or thing by a time because I have something else to do, like that's it. So you really have to prioritize that. Like, how bad do I want to get out there and work out? And at
Mm-hmm.
the beginning, when the kids were younger, the babies were little, Um, it was easy to just have their nap time line up and just me go out there and nap time. But now, I mean, I'm faced with like just change, okay, change, okay, change, like every 3 months. Like, so yeah, I mean, and out of everything this last year and a half, I've had to prioritize me because that's the only thing that has kept me sane. I mean, it's very easy. Most women do it, and I understand why, because you're pouring all you can into your kids, and you're not worried about yourself, and you're not, but I've always said it, if you look good, you feel good. Rather if that's dressing up, rather if that's taking care of yourself,
It just means that
like,
you care about yourself
yeah,
and
and
about how you look to yourself. You
so
might
you
not look
have
good
to
to someone else, but if
prioritize
you feel
that.
that you look good, you're gonna feel good. I agree. What's the one lesson about love and partnership you never expected to learn, but now can live without? Something that you didn't think mattered, but now matters most.
One
And I'm
lesson
talking
about
about
partnership,
partnership.
I think of what I said earlier with some days you have to fill your partner's cup to get to that 100 for the day.
I think immaturely when you enter a relationship without much experience or just with the wrong people, you're constantly comparing each other. Oh no, but that person brought me lunch, so I should bring them lunch. Or I cooked, so you cooked. Or I did the dishes, so you should do the dishes. And I think that's the worst thing you can do in a relationship because you're never going to be satisfied with what that person's doing. So therefore, you're never going to give that person your best either. And it's a triple down effect. I think if you both fall into that trap, you're never going to feel satisfied with who you're with. And then on top of that, are you ever going to be satisfied with who you are, with what you're bringing to the table? So it's I heard a saying the other day that a husband goes to sleep at night, and before he goes to sleep, he always gets a glass of water, right? And he always brings his glass of water next to him in bed. His wife's already in bed, and they have a discussion because they're going through therapy. And she flat out tells him, "I hate the fact that you don't bring me a cup of water." And he's like, "But you're never thirsty. You've never asked me for a cup of water." And the whole meaning behind it is, it's because you never asked. You just always bring a cup of water. And it's a person always thinking about themselves. And in a relationship, if you're going in with that mentality, then it's just not gonna work. The day
Yeah.
that, like you said earlier, it takes two. It takes for both of you to be able to think about waking up every day, thinking about each other, thinking about how you could be a better person for that person. Um, so going on family goals and just living more simple because one thing, one thing I do feel that we've gone through these last few months, not even a year, but our life has become much more simple. We don't eat out as much because of the value of it, of what we're eating, but also the time, the time of us cooking, the time of us being home. Obviously the kids don't behave the best either, but they behave good for the most part. Living a simple life, how important is that to you now? I saw you put a post the other day of being boring, and people are like, "Oh wow, you go for a walk, that's so boring," or you read, that's so boring. But how important is that to you, to your body, to your soul, to your
I
mind?
think I've always been okay with a simple life. I've always told you, like,
Yeah,
we
maybe it's
don't
me.
need that. We don't need
Maybe I'm
that.
the
Like,
more of the extravagant one that wants
bigger, better,
yeah,
more, more, more.
yeah.
And yeah, you're goal driven. That's great. But you got to know, like, what grounds you, what pulls you back in. But I mean,
I think the moment that we started focusing on simplicity, it's when we were able to make room for things that mattered most.
well, it starts with one change. Like, when you focus on your health, it's going to trickle into something else because it's like you've been saying lately, like, what are you going to take away in order to add that into your life? And this last year, I focused on not only physically my health, but like your mental health too. Like, what are things that are bringing me happiness? Like, small little things throughout your day that are bringing you in happiness. And it was that. So it just kind of trickles in, like, and after you're 30, you're like, yeah, I don't want to go out. Let's order pizza and have a bottle of wine here. Like, just a simple thing. Like, I don't need a fancy dinner. We don't need.
A new car.
Yeah, or
Something so simple like that, I'm saying.
so
So for all the moms out there right now that are home or that in your position or semi in your position, what is something that you feel that you can tell them not to let it slip away, because one day in life they'll look back and love this moment. They'll look back and cherish this moment, this hard time that they're going through, those sleepless nights, the bad mood that they're in. What is one thing that you would
I
want to tell them?
think the biggest thing that stay-at-home moms need to hear is that you are doing enough. Like, you are doing so much. You are doing enough. You are providing. Whether if you're providing not financially, but you're providing that sense of peace for your family, sense of peace for your kids. You know, you're providing those memories. You're providing, like, you are, and what you're doing is enough.
I love that. What did it take to step into the unknown and bet on yourself when the path forward wasn't clear? I feel that being uncomfortable is something that people hate, but that's what really challenges you to become who you want to be. And that only goes with stepping into that uncomfortable zone. I feel that once you get comfortable in anything in life, things start going downhill. I feel that even in my career, for example, um, as soon as you get complacent or you get comfortable in life, you don't work the same. And in a relationship, I think that happens a lot, especially when spouses are comfortable giving or receiving the same. And it takes each other of us to hold each of us to be more accountable. So really what I want to talk about is stepping into the unknown and betting on yourself when the path was unclear
In what?
in life, period. This big step that you made of staying home. You've never done that. Even when you had Dominic, you didn't stay home. You
In
worked.
that sense, I didn't bet on I didn't bet on myself. I saw it in the moment of betting on us. Like, it's a big thing for me to have been like, and yes, you're my husband, but for me to have been like, I am solely relying on you to take care of me financially. Like, that's a big ego hit. And it is ego. You
But
know,
for who?
people can say whatever they want. For me, like, that was my pride that I had to put aside. And again, my trust in us
It's
and
because of who
you.
you
And
are, though. Because I know so many women that could have taken advantage of that. You know what
well,
I
of
mean? And
course.
most would probably. And
But
there are so many men that would have taken advantage of it too, saying I'm providing here, so I get to go out, so I get to go have
right.
fun. You
But
know what I mean?
that
There's
is that. And it is almost like a little trauma because my family and, then you don't want to be so reliant on this person. And then it just trickles down. And then it's like things just toxic. Like, I know we've never had that foundation, but those are things that are in the back of your head, and I would be lying if I didn't say, like, part of the first couple months of, like, itching to go back was that. Like, I know I need to provide for myself. Like, that's just, and it's like, no, why?
why are you thinking about yourself?
Why? I mean, it just goes into a lot of different things because it's like, not every man is like you. Not everybody has a partner, like you, essentially. And you could be in a conversation with someone and they'd be like, yeah, oh, you're staying at home now? Be careful with that. Like, why? Why is that people's first reaction to say that? Like, you know? And again, like, you always made me feel like what I was doing is enough. You always reminded me of that. Like, you
But
need
that's part of
that.
my job.
Especially because some women, like you say, do want to take advantage of me.
Of
Like, I
course,
can't wait to have kids because I'm just never going to work again. Fine and great for you.
if that's
And
what you
that's
want.
great if
Yeah.
that brings you happiness. And so at the end of the day, it's just about what brings you happiness. Like, for me, working brought me happiness. Having my own business brought me happiness. Being able to show that to my kids, being able to, like, provide for my family, to being able to, like, for us, it's like teamwork. Like, we can make it far and me just be here, support you and stuff. But how much further are we going to get when we both, like,
And,
push?
and not only that though, but I also think there's phases. So right now we're going through this phase, and you might have to
Right.
be pushing me, but there's gonna be a day I'm gonna be pushing you, and I'm gonna rely on you. And I think we've had that talk so many times that
Yeah.
it's just a matter of time. I mean, we have our plans, we have our future, and this is one I really want to just weigh in on. But if time is our most valuable currency, how do we spend it in a way that truly honors our family and ourselves? So a huge opener for me, man. I mean, I've always dreamed of getting about what I'm about to have in my career. I'm always dreaming about getting that. This is one of the final steps of my goal. I mean, 10 years ago, I prayed to you. I prayed to God about being someone that I'm about to be in my career, right? And it's just crazy that sometimes when you're about to get it in life, you don't even want it anymore because other things matter more, right?
Yeah.
And right now, time means so much to me because thank God in 2021 and 2022 we had a great year, right? And we had a great year financially, but did we have a great year as us as human beings as a family? I feel like this year we had a great year. We've had so much growth. My heart feels so much more fulfilled now because of what we've gone through in those years, and I didn't make anywhere near what I made in 21 or 2022. So again, in
But you
life,
didn't have your kids.
but that's exactly what I'm trying to say though. In life, how you it's not what you make, it's how you make it. Anything, a relationship, how you make money, it's it's how you make it, not what you make. And if time is our most valuable currency, how do we spend it in a way that truly matters most? Right now, how do you spend your time the most? That matters. Because a lot of people will look at you and be like, wow, she's just eating shit all day. Wow, she's going for a walk with her kids. Wow, she could be working on a business or a side hustle.
Well, I mean, I'm using it to slow down. Like, life is already so busy for us, no matter what. But I'm able to slow down. Like, this last year, I've been able to slow down. Like, when, I like was working, it was like 6 days a week, you're focused on work, then you're coming home, then you're a mom, then you're running here. And it's just like life is just fast, fast, fast. Wake up, do it all over again. And so it's almost like 2020. Like, now I'm home. Now I'm able to just cook a bomb ass meal and not be like, I have to cook. No, like, life has slowed down in those ways. And it's like, those are the simple things that, like, you don't have to. I don't love cooking, but because it's not a task, doesn't feel like I have to get home rushing. It's, I'm pushing. I took my last client, I ran late, and now I'm getting home late. And like it was before, it was like, oh, I have to cook. Now it's like I'm slowed down, like, so I enjoy those little things. And that is time, because instead of you getting home now and I'm rushing to get everybody to sleep, and it does still happen sometimes, but we're sitting down at the table and we're eating dinner together. It's not both of us walking in late and then just being like, oh, just eat, babe, your food's in the microwave. Like,
Which some days we do have those days.
I
We
know,
have, yeah.
yeah, that we do. But for the most part,
I
like,
know.
we don't.
I know.
That is our cherished time. Like, those are moments.
So looking ahead together and what we've built, what legacy are we building for ourselves? And most importantly, not only just for ourselves, but for the family that we've created. What legacy do you think we're building most right now? I think the impact that Dominic is getting in life is huge. So just think about, because the other two obviously are still small and they don't understand, but what legacy do you think we're actually building for our kids right now?
Well, right now and what we will be later on are two different things. Because right now, I think we're really, and maybe this is part of like the stage of raising like a preteen, but I think right now, like, we're really focused on quality, like quality parenting, because it has been hard. Like, we're going through a new chapter of parenting, and then, kind of devoting our time, like putting him in this, really good team for basketball, but for the morals, for all of those things to set him up properly. So I think right now, like, he's looking and he's getting it's like we said to ourselves the other Sunday, like, I mean, no, we're not perfect, but like for us, like, it's like, I mean, we're doing a really good job, like, with quality family time, parenting, like,
Things that matter.
yeah. And it's
Right?
like we
We're not
could
just taking him to a
easily,
movie.
no, but not only that, like, we're not just like letting him go to, just stay over, or like I don't know, like, we're not just
Letting him play Fortnite all day. Something as
right,
simple as
things
that.
like
Yeah.
that, like, just to let the time pass by and, like, I don't know, I think we're really trying to prioritize that to show him, especially because he is in split homes, like, it's almost like you have to step it up, like, we have to step up our parenting. And, like, again, I'm not saying that we, like, have it all together and, like, our parenting is the best, but we're freaking trying, like, you know, to fill his cup. And so I don't know about legacy, but all I can hope that my kids look back and, like, one, I don't give them as much trauma as, like, I had growing up. Like, I'm letting my kid kind of grow up slower, not have to rush, unfortunately, to grow up, to face certain things that I had to face at his age. So I think, especially since I'm home, I'm going to make the best out of my parenting. Like, it's not always going to be fun days. It's not always going to be like, I want to be the cool mom. Like, I want my son to, like, be like, you're so cool. You're so fun. Like, no, I think we've given him really hard sides of us because he needs that.
So, quick question. This is one that means a lot to me, but the road ahead is always brighter when you walk it with the ones you love the most. A family's strength isn't in what they have, but in the love and vision that they share for the future. What what vision do you see us having in the next 5 years? Where would you want me to be? And speak honestly.
Well, just for you, or like,
Yeah, where would you want me to be in this family, for example, in my career as a man, as
I want you to be wherever you are the most happiest, wherever you feel the most accomplished. I
and where do
mean,
you think that is?
I don't know. I don't. I've told you that. I don't. I don't know what is gonna bring you the most happiness. Like, if it's chasing the title of owning your own, like being a GM one day, like, I want you to be that. Not for what the lifestyle will come with, but for your fulfillment, your happiness. If it's leaving the car business to, take over your dad's business and be able to show your kids that and still have that in your family, I want you to do that. Like, I want what's going to bring you happiness because
I
I
feel like
don't,
only one of those ways will be able to actually leave a legacy to our kids.
yes and no. I mean, it just depends on what legacy you want to leave. Like, I mean, you will still be somebody, you know? Is it going to be harder to be that person you want to be if you're a GM still working and with that corporate life until you're realistically late 50s,
Yeah.
if you're lucky? Yeah. Now, selfishly, where do I want you to be? Yeah, of course.
Hmm.
I would love for you to have your own business wherever that is. If it's with your dad, if it's something that you wanted to do, if it's wanted to open, whatever it is, because I know that you would do so great at that. And, like, all you need is just a little kick
But that's
into
what I
that
was asking you. So where is
risk.
it that you would want me to be?
Yeah, there. Not just to buy your own time back, but to really, like, be able to reach your full potential and not be afraid to give your full potential because you know that it's going back into you, not for another person's huge company.
But that's what I feel that building a legacy is really, you're building a legacy at the end of the day. So you might not be building it for you right now, but you're building it for a bigger reason. And
Right.
that's the legacy that you leave behind. Um, Definitely something I want to talk about later on. But so this conversation, this conversation has meant so much to me, and it's reminded me of how far we've come, how much we've grown together, and how grateful I am to share this life with you. To everyone listening, I hope this inspires you to reflect on your own journey. Whether it's in your marriage, your family, or your personal growth, life isn't about having it all. It's about making the most of what you have and appreciating the moments that truly matter the most. Michelle, thank you for being my partner in all of this. I love you and I'm so proud of everything we've built together. And thank you all for watching. And just remember that the choices you make today define who you are tomorrow.